Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime, like the one I had last weekend at Valley of the Gods in Utah? If so, then you should consider the OHV trails in Colorado, Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico. They've got a ton of great places you can ride. But did you know that Utah has a new requirement to ride on their OHV trails that just went into effect on January 1st of 2023? Yeah, last month. Stay tuned to learn more about that and about the other 3 states' OHV requirements for riding on their trails. We'll cover the fees for registration and even where to find some free maps, even though some of the states you may want to buy your own app for that. OHV stands for off-highway vehicle, and these trails are some of the most awesome, scenic, and exciting trails that you can ride in any of the states. From exploring new terrain on your adventure touring motorcycle, or just getting outside and experiencing the great outdoors, you're going to develop some pretty amazing memories. But before you go, there's a couple of things you need to know to make sure that you're compliant with the local rules and regulations. That way you can ride your adventure touring motorcycle on these trails and not have to worry about Johnny Law coming after you. Whether you're an experienced off-roader or new to the sport, it's important to understand what the laws and regulations are in these areas. And Utah, like I said, actually has a new and exclusive requirement for riding OHV trails in their state. So watch to the end to make sure that you find out everything that you need to know before going on your trip. So let's go ahead and start with Utah. This is the state that I just traveled to last, and it also had the most recent change. And by the way, everything that I talk about, I'm going to put the links down in the description section so that way you can easily just go and find the requirement or whatever it is that you're trying to find for that specific state. The first thing you need to do is register your vehicle with the state on the page that we're looking at right now. The registration fee is $30 for non-residents. Spark arresters are required for all of these states that we're talking about today. So make sure that you've got your bike equipped with those. We are in the Southwest, and there's some pretty tough drought conditions in all 4 of these states that we're talking about today. The last thing that we want to do is contribute to some kind of forest fire. All the other requirements for age and helmet use, etc., are all on the page. I'm not going to read those off for you, but I'll get you to them at least. So, the unique requirement for Utah is that you actually have to have an OHV safety course. The good news is that the exam is free. Now, whenever I went in and did a search for this, I did find some sites that popped up that said, we'll get you certified for $30. Well, if you just go to the right website that I'm showing here, then it's free. It's not a complicated test. In fact, everything that's on the test is very valuable information. And if you've ever been on any kind of OHV trail, whether on an adventure touring motorcycle or driving even in a Jeep, you know that there's not a lot of people that really understand what trail etiquette is. There's not a lot of people that really understand what pack it in and pack it out means. And the more and more people that are going to explore these places in their toys and their side-by-sides and their adventure touring motorcycles and in their Jeeps, which I've got a Jeep too, the more important it is that we all actually follow the etiquette procedures and the regulations, or it's going to just be a mess. And we're really just going to lose the opportunity to be able to use these areas. So if you're wondering if I thought the exam was worth the money, it absolutely was. I really actually recommend that course to anybody, whether they're going to ride in Utah or not. If they're new to adventure touring, rock crawling, anything that uses these trails, it's great information. Now, Utah has a pretty nice map function on their website. If you click over here on the 360-degree map, it'll pull up the maps. It looks like they're ordered and most recently uploaded. So click load more and they just keep coming. Let's click this one to zoom into the details. It's got the Google map there to the left so you can get an overview of how to get there. The local weather forecast is on the right. Then down here at the bottom, you can actually download the trail maps in a format that is compatible with your device to track the trip. Pretty nice features. I use the Onyx off-road map that I paid, $29 a year for the entire United States. That gives me the same information and the ability to track it. So it's pretty cool. But if you don't have that, then you can absolutely use the Utah website. If you're finding any value in this content, please slap a like on there, consider subscribing. Next thing we're going to do is move over to Colorado. That's the state that I live in. Their information is on the Colorado Parks and Wildlife page. Click in the middle of the page that has boats, OHVs, and snowmobiles, which I wish I had right now. Click the far right option. By the way, you will need to create an account for each of these to be able to register your vehicle. So registration for Colorado is $25.25 annually. You can pour through all the regulations and the legalese here at your leisure. Colorado is the only state with a mobile app for its trail sections. It's on the App Store and the Google Play Store. The name of their system is CO Trex with an X, CoTrex. So if you want to view them online, you can do that at trails.colorado.gov or follow the link that I post. It's pretty impressive and very similar to the app that I use that I paid just, like I said, $29 for a year. And being able to download it as a mobile app is pretty cool. I've not played around with the map yet. I've never actually ridden in Arizona, but I do want to. I'm thinking about places like Sedona, the Petrified Forest, the Grand Canyon. There's really cool places in Arizona to ride. Their registration fee is $25 annually, and it can be accessed on their ADOT site. That is az.gov. Then click the motor vehicles section and click OHV and boating. It's very obvious when you get to the non-resident OHV decal registration page, as you see here. You're not going to mistake that for anything else. Now, they do have a map function at azstateparks.com, which the .com kind of scares me off a little bit. It's not an official government website, but it does have some pretty interesting features, and we'll walk through those. You can find trails, scroll down to Explore Trails. You get the Google Maps version of the trails that at least gives you a reference point for where you need to go. I would probably use my app in Arizona, quite honestly. New Mexico is the last state on the list, and it makes up the last state of the Four Corners area of the United States. It has a unique registration process and what they call reciprocity. Basically, if you come from a state where your vehicle is already registered as an OHV vehicle, they assume that your vehicle is good to go off-road. So reciprocity means if another state has those kinds of regulations and you are in compliance with your home state's regulations, there is no need to purchase another registration. If you don't, however, or if you come from a state that just doesn't have them, because some don't, then you will need to purchase the registration. Now, the annual cost for theirs is $53 and renewals are $50. Now, to find the registration, go to New Mexico Game and Fish website right here and click almost in the middle for the OHV information. Then click on the left under registration and you'll find that it's $53 for a year and $50 thereafter. New Mexico also has a non-governmental site for their trail maps. The site is called NMOHV Alliance, abbreviated NMOHV-A. So looking through their site, it's not as fancy as the Colorado site. You can pull up maps and you can download PDFs of the area, and you can also download files for the Garmin. And though I've never used it, the Avenza app is what they recommend to be able to track your ride if you don't have a Garmin. Unfortunately, the Avenza map service is a paid subscription service and more than the Onyx off-road app. I've never actually played around with it except this little bit right here, but I know that there are quite a few people that use that app out there. So there's also a certain amount that you can find on the BLM website if you're wanting to look for more free resources. So here's what we were able to find on the BLM site. I didn't spend a lot of time on the site, but there is some functionality, and there are maps all over the place, as you can see. The U.S. Forest Service site is another place that you can go to for free maps. If you go to their website, you can look at the interactive map and find tons of areas to ride all over the country. You can actually find the trails, and they're highlighted. They do have a mobile app as well. I did download the app just for grins because I figured it was probably free, quite honestly. And it looks like you have to go in and download the specific areas that you want to go to. The area for San Juan National Forest, which is where I spend the majority of my time, was 190 megabytes. Whenever I went through the app, I really wasn't able to figure out where the dirt bike or off-road motorcycle OHV trails were. What I found was a lot of mountain biking trails and hiking trails. I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but that's all that I was able to come up with. Probably I'm just doing something wrong. I bet it's there. But very handy service, and it's pretty snappy. It's a pretty nice little app. If you appreciate the content, slap a like on there, consider subscribing. If you're curious about what all the hullabaloo is about in the Four Corners area, I was over in Utah last weekend, like I mentioned at the beginning, and here's the ride that I went on in the Valley of the Gods, and it was pretty unbelievable, breathtaking scenery there. It was a quick in and out. I had to drive a little bit to get there, but it was really well worth it. And I've got that video forever, so I can always go back and access it. And it was only a couple hours away, so it wasn't too bad. So there's also going to be a video popping up here in a second that's a recommendation for you that you haven't seen before. Feel free and take a look at that as well. I hope that I've given you some pretty decent information about at least where to find the information to be able to ride these OHV trails around this area. And the area does cover 4 states. I didn't go all over the country, but this is home. These are my stomping grounds right here. It was great having you along with me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. They've got a garage. The side is